Oh, yes. Isn't it great to have Mick Jagger back in Australia? I've had the pleasure of speaking to him twice via satellite recently to announce these Australian and New Zealand concert, and on both occasions I've asked him about the future of the Stones. The first time he was pretty positive about the guys getting together next year to record and possibly tour. The second time, however, he was a little more cagey, saying he didn't really know if they'd get together. So when I had the opportunity to meet Mick face to face, I asked him just what is the future for the Rolling Stones.
Well, I don't know. We're talking about doing another album next year, but I never would be too optimistic because it might never happen. But I've been working pretty hard. So I think I told you before, I've been writing songs for that album, writing lots of Rolling Stone type songs, sort of hard rock, blues, a bit of funk, country. So that's what I've been doing in June and July, making demos. I work with Charlie, and Jimmy, who's playing with me here, and Ronnie Wood a bit. And so I'm supposed to be doing some more writing, working with Keith in December. We're supposed to go in the studio in January.
The key to a Rolling Stones reunion is obviously you and Keith deciding you want to do it.
Yeah, well, it's not so long that we haven't worked. I mean, like it's only, I don't know, 2.5 years. It's not really that long. In 25 years of a band that you haven't worked together. So I don't really think of it as that far apart.
But we hear all sorts of stories about this big falling out and all that sort of thing. Is that pure media talk?
Well, it sort of hyped up a lot, I think. But, you know, we have a lot of ups and downs in the band over the years. So, you know, I think it's good to get away from it for a bit. It's just sort of driving everyone crazy, though. I was the only one that wanted to admit it.
So there definitely will be something happening next year?
Well, I'm not saying definitely, because I've got to hedge my bets. Okay. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I hope there will be, and I'm working on the project already.
Mick Jagger, the man, I mean, going way back, you've got this image as the wild man of rock and roll, sex, drugs, rock and roll, all that sort of thing. How much of that anti-establishment bad boy image was showbiz, was marketing, and how much was the real you?
I don't think you can market something for years and years and years unless there's a lot of truth in it. I think it's very tough to live out a complete line. I mean obviously I think a lot of it's bullshit. It's just people love to talk about that. I was feeling sorry for Joe Cocker the other day. I saw an article, everyone wanted him to drink on camera, you know, to show us how much he can drink on camera quick. Throwing a beer down him. See him live wild, you know, be a wild man, come on. I mean, obviously underneath that is everyone is quieter when they're in their more reflective periods, you know, you don't always want to act crazy. But, I mean, when we started out, life was very different. I mean, it was a very staid society. I don't know if you remember what Australia was like in 1963. It was very different to now, I'm sure, and certainly England was. And, you know, it's very hard to explain to someone who was like 16 years old what it was like 25 years ago compared to now as far as freedom of just in small things are concerned.
It was obviously an image, if I can use that term, that worked for you. I mean, the Beatles were the nice, clean-cut boys next door, or so we were led to believe.
Yeah, but they weren't really, were they? They were sort of nasty and kind of, you know, just as rough and tough. But yeah, to a certain extent that works for journalists, and all the publicists love it too, you know.
Did you actually spend much time with the Beatles?
Yeah. It was a very kind of competitive thing, but it was a very friendly kind of rivalry, mostly. Particularly, I think John was very keen, you know, on sort of having a kind of good time together. We used to go out and have a great time. You know. We didn't play together that much, just physically. I don't remember doing that. I mean, I saw John a lot later on, when he, you know, after the Beatles had broken up. He was a great laugh. I mean, through his drunk period, when then we straightened up afterwards, he was a great laugh. But I still see, you know, I see Paul and George and all that.
What about if your kids get, you know...
Get into sex, drugs and rock and roll?
Yeah, I mean, what...
They've done all that already. Not the little 2-year-olds, but the old...
But I mean, if you start saying, hey, you shouldn't do that, they're going to say, hang on a minute, that's the pot calling the kettle black over there.
No, but you have to explain, you know, what happens to you, because the reverse of that is that they understand when you tell them what happens to you if you take heroin or something. They know, oh, well, I said, well, my friend died of taking heroin, and this friend died of taking heroin, and that's what happens, and that's what happens. And they know that you know about it. It's not like some guy living a sort of totally blameless stage life, and there's no understanding. They know and they respect my point of view. They don't necessarily always agree with it, but they know that I've seen the world, so to speak.
How difficult is it for your children, in general terms, having Mick Jagger as a dad?
Well, I don't know. You better ask them. But I mean, I can't really tell you that. But it's always tough to be related to someone that's always getting in the news and so on.
You've had your fair share of leading ladies. How difficult has it been for you to hold down a serious relationship with the glare of the world's media all the time?
It's pretty difficult, actually, but I manage.
This is, of course, MTV Music Television, and tonight we're delighted to feature our exclusive interview with Mick Jagger, a man who's seen the rock industry from every conceivable angle, I guess. Most artists at one time or another complain of being ripped off by managers, agents, or whatever. I asked Mick if he'd ever been mistreated financially.
The Stones, we were very ripped off at one period. And it gives you, because if you're a singer and you write songs and you just do shows, you don't really want to do the rest of it. It's just boring. And business is very dull, really, I think. Just the abstractness of it and the personalities you have to deal with. It's not a tremendous amount of fun compared to being on stage. But unfortunately, you have to sort of grow up and take care of it and so on. But the actual, there is very pleasing things about creating stages and shows and so on, which I enjoy doing, and you've got to keep on top of that too.
So how much control would you have over the building of the stage and the planning of the stage show and everything?
Well, the stage show, more or less everything. I mean, I've always worked very closely with designers and manufacturers and doing all the Stones things. Charlie Watts and I did a lot of those. Worked with very good designers, very good lighting people and so on, the very best. Rock and roll in its infancy, we never had any of that. Until 1969, there was no real industry. There was no light. You just walked in and the microphone came up and that was it. You just sang into it. I mean, the fact that no one heard it, no one cared. There was no lights. That you never had a follow spot operator of your own. The guy just was handed a piece of paper 5 minutes before the show and said, "That's the lead singer. Follow me around the stage." I mean, since then it's become this multi-million-dollar business, and you employ very good people.
Mick, you said you couldn't see yourself on stage at the age of 40 belting out Satisfaction.
No, I didn't.
Didn't you?
No.
What did you say?
I said I couldn't see myself on stage at 50 doing it, didn't I?
Oh, well, you quoted us saying 40. Let's forget about 40 and 50. What about when you're 60? What are you going to be doing?
I don't know. You can't really look that far into the future with any kind of accuracy, I don't think.
But here he is.
I can't get them. No, it's a pretty hopeless idea.
Satisfaction has just been voted the best rock and roll song of all time by Rolling Stone magazine.
And they should know.
Absolutely. That must be quite a buzz.
Oh, it's great. Very gratifying. Some great other songs in there. Some very odd songs in there too.
But the #1 rock and roll song of all time.
Yeah, very good. Very pleased with that.
You obviously see that as a career highlight or one of your favourite songs still?
It's not really one of my favourite songs, but it's a great song. I mean, it just doesn't have to be my favourite song, but lots of people really like it. I like it too, but there's been some great versions of it done. Aretha Franklin did a great version. Otis Redding did a great version. Devo did a great version.
At the age of 45, are you finally satisfied?
Oh, I love that. Is that the last question?
No, but it should have been,
Oh dear. This is the thing where you have to carry on sort of working, you don't sort of stop and say, oh yeah, I did Satisfaction 25 years ago or something, whatever it was. You have to sort of carry on working, be creative. And I enjoy being creative, and I like writing songs, so I don't really want to stop them.
Is it difficult, though, looking for new challenges for yourself all the time, to keep on getting motivated to do new things?
Yeah, in a way. But I took a lot of time off doing live shows. I mean, I haven't done live shows for years. I just started doing them again. So that's kind of interesting. But, times change very much. I still enjoy doing that, but there are other things I suppose you could say that I should be doing. But I enjoy very much. One of my favourite things is writing, really. The buzz of actually creating a new song. 5 minutes ago you didn't have anything, and then you got this song. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's still rather wonderful because it wasn't there before, and now it's here. and it takes so little time, and it doesn't need it's not like a movie where you need all kinds of equipment and hundreds of people. It's just you and the guitar and a tape machine, and you've got a song that people can be walking down the road singing, and then 25 years later they go, that was my favourite song. Well, that's kind of rather great, I think.
Is walking on stage still the ultimate high then?
I'll tell you, the first night of the tour. Yeah, if they like it, it's great. If they don't like it, it's a nightmare.
Well, I'm sure they're going to like it here, man.
Good.
So, can you give us any sort of insight into the show?
It's very much a rock show. I mean, it's not a hugely sort of overproduced Las Vegas review or anything. Where I sort of stagger on in an old white suit and belt out a load of old favourites before I croak off to the dressing room. But I mean, it does it. It's a lot of. It has quite a few old favourites sort of spiced around with it, because I think I enjoy doing them, and the audience likes to hear them and bin. It's not as if I've been here like every year. And you know, I do new songs, I do solo things, I do some bit country music. I do a new song I wrote a few weeks ago, which is a funk piece, which is very kind of modern sounding, and just do a bit of everything. And hopefully it combines into one nice animal.
The Stones have always been billed the greatest rock and roll band in the world. What does that make this band?
Bullshit. I hate that. I never. That was one of. We had this guy who was a roadie, and that was his thing before the band went on. And every time I said, "Don't say that anymore," I can't stand it. It's all self-trumpeting garbage.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest.
Yeah. I hate that. This band's a great band, you know. You'll hear them.